We meet again today in Get Out of the Box, and today I am with Rihan Ahmed. He's our head of our students recruitment, and we are going to talk about critical thinking. Rihan. Yeah. You know, critical thinking is very important, and you know why we talk about this. Actually, this is kind of an input and you know our response because recently in our social media there's some questions, and then we reply back, and some people ask us directly why you reply. It means that shouldn't you like just say thanks or something. It's not about saying thank you, and it's not about, you know, we just want to reply, but as an education institution we have this obligation, we call it obligation, to develop critical thinking, which is if someone give a comment, we want to reply and we want to really discuss things, because we want people to have critical thinking and not the other one. So Rihan, actually from your point of view yourself, because you're facing this you know, you're facing customers every day. It means that students prospect and everything, and sometimes they will ask you some questions which is kind of a bit like put you in a corner, but what do you think of critical thinking actually?
Critical thinking is something, it's different to person, that how they look at other things. So critical thinking, we can it's something it's thinking something out of the box. Like it's not good to see the same thing in the certain perception. Like we should be able to like justify the things between two, like positive, negative, and like we should be able to come up with the right. We have to see it in a right we have to like debate among ourselves, and we have to come up with the right solution for the problems.
It's interesting because actually critical thinking is just not only thinking. It means that you need to have a correct thinking flow, and then you need to have the fact, and you need to understand the fact, and then you need to really know what you're talking about. Is that about critical thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Like we can I can put it in like this way, like we have to be like creative, we have to be like, we have to come up with a good justification, and we have to come up with a conclusion for that, and then it will be like automatically when we compare, and when we like it's something adding value to some person's ideas. So we have to get the ideas with each other, and it's something coming up with a conclusion, with the right conclusion.
So how do you think someone can have this thing that we call it critical thinking? Because everyone have their own mind, and their thinking definitely means all humans are thinking, but how do you have this critical thinking of how do you have the sense of this critical thinking?
Yeah, like everyone were having like their values, own values and the beliefs, right? So we, first of all, we have to respect that, and we have to put like, it's like different culture to culture, it's different. Like we have to like respect each and everyone's like values. So therefore like it's not easy also, but if a critical thinker, if you want to be a critical thinker, they have to be a intermediate and look into the each and every fact. And it's not about the data collecting, it's not about the researcher or anything. It's like a self-learning. If a person is confident enough to put it in a take own, like do a bit of a research and put all the fact into one basket, and if you can pick the right thing, that is the right critical thinker.
So this is I'm really interested in when you say respect. Some people they will think and you know they have a good education background. Definitely it means, let's say they have a good education, but some people, you know, judge something, or not judge, it means that make a comment, or you know they express you know their opinion based on their taste and preference. So how do you think those things really influence critical thinking?
Education, but as you said that it's come into play, it's play a major role. But I don't see that only people who are with a good education can be a critical thinker.
Well, what do you think, if, because so many people out there, they discern something or they judge something or they decide which one they want to choose based on taste and personal preference. It means that not based on critical thinking, or is personal preference and taste part of the critical thinking?
Yeah, personal, I don't think the personal preference is going to be a part of the critical thinking. It's because it's already fixed in their mind. So whatever we try to convince, it won't be like, it's not that easy step to like make that decision if something is fixed. But the critical thinker, it's always like, let's say for like shampoo, if you want to go and buy shampoo, like we will just, some people, they always go with the personal preference or smell. But some people, like after like kids, after we grow up, like we looking for like what we need. Like for example, some people can have a dandruff problem, or some people have hair fall solution. So they will be reading all these things, and they will come to like they compare between two things, and they come up with their own.
Okay, so guys, so you now remember, when you choose a shampoo, you need even choosing a shampoo or choosing something, you need to have a critical thinking, and not okay, some people, definitely everyone have a personal preference, and then they have also taste, but not only involving the personal preference and then the taste, but also involving the critical thinking, which is what do I going to use this for? Now, there's one thing. Some people, or so many people, I don't say, maybe sometimes I also become that kind of people, but what do you think about critical sounding? It means that when you have an opinion, some people say, this is a free country, this is a free world, you have to express what you feel. But some people, I think, they just express it, okay, so they just sound it without considering.
Yeah, true. Some people, they are good critical thinkers, but when it comes to critical sounding, they are not, maybe it can be like some factors like culture, some factors like country, like their family background. So like they are not that, some people they won't feel like comfortable with put it out, like sounding critical sounding. So they very rarely put, if there's a person who like putting it like out just like without even thinking all this, then it's like they are the one who can be like good entrepreneurs also, because they are coming up with something new.
Okay, sometimes we also need to realize, and then so many people out there need to be realized that there's a people with this habit of criticizing, which is they just want to criticize anything. They just want to say, or it's like similar when people say that, okay, you always have a negative thoughts.
Yeah, like I can put it in like this way, like there are two set of gang, like whatever that we put it in, like they always want to criticize, even that doesn't matter, even the good or bad, they want to criticize. But it's good, like we can take some good points from that also. But another set, like if you put another good thing to the market, something like new release to the market, so it can be like a good feedback or negative feedback.
But how maybe you can share a bit to our audience, you oftenly experience that, as a people who wants to buy your product, they are sometimes they criticizing, yeah, I like your product, but you should do this, actually you should add something on this. How do you handle these people?
Yeah, like we as a person, like as a person who is in the marketing, like I just love to hear all this feedback, because if they're like, if something valuable that we can make a change which can give a good outcome for the customer, so yeah, we should be taking that as our feedback. Some like criticizing, that that also, like we have to filter some certain things that we have to filter, because we can't take everything into our head, like, so we have to filter. So like we should be a critical thinker. So all the feedback which we come, we have to put it in one basket, and we have to choose the right one. If there's any changes, it won't happen quickly, right? So it eventually with the timing, hopefully we can give a good outcome.
So it means that we have to be mature enough.
Mature enough, yeah.
It means that some people who criticize us, they're not really that mature sometimes. As a critical thinker, should you just thinking or should you say it out loud?
As a critical thinker, we have to break our fear, which we have it. We have to say it out. So that is the message which we like to give it to you all.
Everyone experienced this. Rihan experienced this. Rihan, as you're in a marketing and I'm in a management, which is we receive a lot of critics sometimes, but we have to filter it first. You have to filter it. You have to be smart enough to filter the critics. And second, if it is a negative feedback, which is, when you say negative feedback, it means that it's not something that is wrong with you. That's what I think.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, but the feedback is like negative. It means there's another motive behind the feedback. But when you're wrong, when you're in the wrong position, and then you got a critic, you receive a critic, it's not a negative feedback.
Yeah,
okay, it's not definitely it's not a negative feedback. It's a constructing feedback. So we cannot say that you're always negative. No, sometimes if the critic is really going to improve us, so we have to receive it as a constructive feedback,
Okay.
not as a negative feedback. Negative feedback, it means that you already done good things and nothing's wrong with it, but people still say negative. It means they don't like it, they will say negative. So it means that first, filter it. Second, smart enough, and third thing, you have to be mature enough to
Just
handle
the
these
right
things.
one.
Yes. So it means that for you, all the business enthusiasts out there, critical thinking is about your thinking process. It's not just about sounding it when you think something bad. Just sounding it. Just say it, but you don't have the facts. That's the thing, because like you said, like I told you, we sometimes can judge something based on our personal preferences and our own taste.
Yeah.
So now think critically, because it's very important. No one's perfect, but please keep in mind, and until next time.